Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall in line to return in tandem back home in Arizona on Sunday. Today's 49ers practice began under gray skies with some raindrops, but just a few minutes in, the sun started shining, and perhaps that is reflective of the 49ers' improving injury situation. Yes, Brock is in line to be back. He's got to get through this entire week of aggressive practices, but even though he's technically listed as limited, that is only a technicality, as Kyle Shanahan confirmed here.
It'll be aggressive practice. We just got to put limited if it's not exactly how it normally is. So,
will he be running the first team offense? Are you trying to build him toward the point where he can start on Sunday?
Yes.
For this week?
Yes.
Now, it's significant that Purdy will very likely be joined by Ricky Pearsall, who's been out about 6 weeks since suffering a PCL injury against Jacksonville right back here at Levi Stadium. In fact, the last time that both Brock and Ricky played a game, it was in the same one, Week 4, against the Jags. Ricky Pearsall has been the 49ers' best receiver when he's been available so far this year, has excellent chemistry with Purdy, and I think that it is fitting that it looks like they may return back in Arizona because they played against each other in high school in that Phoenix area. There was a game where Brock Purdy's high school scored 50 plus, maybe even 60 points on Ricky Pearsall's school, but Ricky in that game had like 380 yards receiving. Both future NFL guys, both have connected for a lot of big catches already this season, including the one in Seattle. Deep ball that set the 49ers up for the game-winning touchdown. Brock Purdy has started only 2 games so far this season, against Seattle and against Jacksonville. Kyle Shanahan today acknowledged that it was a mistake for the 49ers to play Purdy against the Jags. I just think that when we look at that, we have to remember that they had very little choice because Mac Jones was more injured than Brock Purdy back in Week 4. But now Purdy is looking spry out on that practice field. The 49ers have long gamed this situation intentionally. Mac Jones has obviously given them the luxury to do that with how well he's performed in the interim. He's number 11 QBR, which is fantastic for a backup. But with Purdy, the ceiling unquestionably moves higher. Purdy was number 1 QBR back in 2023. The lowest he's been as an NFL quarterback has been number 7, which is higher than even Mac Jones this year at his best. And you pair Pearsall with Purdy and all those other 49ers weapons, essentially everybody minus Brandon Ayuk, they're in a good health situation offensively. That is a nice setup for San Francisco. It will not be hard for the 49ers to move from Mac Jones to Purdy if Brock is indeed available on Sunday. That's only noise on the outside. That's only noise from people who don't understand efficiency metrics of quarterback play and just quarterback play in general. Brock Purdy has been an MVP finalist, and you can't say enough about how well Mac Jones has played, but Purdy is still very clearly the 49ers QB1, and the key has been to get him as close to 100% as possible, which is something that the 49ers are going to try to maintain over the course of this week of aggressive practices. But anyway, here's Kyle Shanahan on the Mac Jones-Brock Purdy dynamic.
I mean, I just think that's the world. I mean, anytime a backup quarterback comes in and plays good, I mean, that's all anyone talks about. You know, I don't think anyone talks about what people have done in the past, whether it's Brock or whether it's anybody. I mean, that's just how the world works with media or anybody. So I don't look too much into that stuff at all. We all know how good Brock's played in the past. And I think he played really good versus Seattle, and I think he struggled versus Jacksonville, which is why we shouldn't have brought him back then. And I know when Brock comes back, he'll play the same way he always has, like a very high-level quarterback.
One more piece of key 49ers injury news. We saw Alfred Collins back out on that practice field today. Shanahan expected him to be a limited participant. During the media viewing window, Collins was working with trainers, so we weren't allowed to film him. He had a big brace on his knee, and he's coming off of a hip injury that forced him to the sideline against the Rams. The 49ers were missing both of their first 2 2025 draft picks against LA, and their run defense was probably the worst that we've seen it this season. I think Michael Williams had been extremely important setting edges against the run, absorbing double teams, but we can't forget about the impact that Alfred Collins has made in that phase of the game. He has progressed more than any rookie over the course of this season. So missing last week with the hip not good. 49ers dropped from number 6 to number 12 in run defense. They're going to try to make amends for that against a very, very beaten up Arizona Cardinals team. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to miss the game. He had appendicitis and had surgery a couple nights ago. Simi Fehoko, the former Stanford wide receiver, is going on injured reserve. Zay Jones, who was on the wrong end of the pass breakup from Upton Stout the last time the 49ers played the Cardinals. Zay Jones tore his Achilles on Sunday against Seattle, so he'll also be out. Beginning today, the Cardinals had only 3 wide receivers on their entire roster. They had to go walk through today instead of regular practice because of the sheer amount of injuries. Baron Browning is in concussion protocol. That's an outside linebacker. And Mack Wilson has been ruled out for Sunday with broken ribs. Mack Wilson's the guy that lit up Christian McCaffrey on that 4th down play near the goal line. That was a great game in week 3 that Mac Jones and company were able to pull out. But Mack Wilson, a good linebacker for the Cardinals, out of this game. In fact, if you go to the total amount of money, salary money on injured reserve, PUP, and NFI combined, 49ers obviously number 1, but the Cardinals are number 2. So the 2 most injured teams in the NFL will be playing on Sunday in the desert at State Farm Stadium. Cardinals are in a worse spot at the current moment, though, because the 49ers, it really does seem that the sun is starting to shine on them in terms of the injury situation. We talk so much about building an efficient 49ers football team within the context of the salary cap and using efficient principles. Well, why don't you make sure that your phone plan is as efficient as possible? Mint has reimagined the game. This is cutting edge stuff. The nation's largest 5G network, and there is unlimited talk and text on that massive network. You also don't have to go into a store. You don't have to deal with salespeople. This is all online. Like I'm saying, revolutionary in the mobile game. Free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Plus, and this one's big for me, mobile hotspot is included. 10 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. So whenever I'm traveling a lot, I'm working from everywhere. I've got my laptop with me. We've got to make these 49ers updates, have to write all these articles. That travel means I need a hotspot. 10 gigabytes, that's nice. And Mint provides that with their unlimited package. Mint provides 5G coverage to 98% of Americans and 4G LTE coverage to 99% of Americans. Mint introduced the concept of bulk buying to the wireless space. The more months you buy upfront, the more you save. So you can buy plans in 3, 6, 9, or 12-month durations. You can also choose the size of your plan, which is big. If you use less, you spend less. If you use more, you spend more. Mint Mobile is challenging industry norms and leaving traditional wireless in the dust. Check them out at the QR code up on your screen. $15 a month is the starting price. So if you want something that fits under the salary cap, something that's going to allow you to build a cost-efficient mobile plan, just like a football team builds a cost-efficient roster, do check out that QR code for Mint Mobile. For the 49ers, it's about bringing the offense to an elite level, which with Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall back is possible. I think it's very clearly possible given the fact they scored 4 touchdowns against the Rams with a backup quarterback and without Ricky Pearsall. And the Rams are the number 1 defense, or one of the top 2 or 3 defenses for sure in all of football. They entered that game at Levi's on Sunday as the number 1 defense, but the 49ers did not let them leave with that billing because they did put up nearly 400 yards and those 4 touchdowns against the Rams. So now Purdy, who can move better than Jones, he can turbocharge this offense in that way. You saw the 4th down interception for Mac Jones where Jared Verse in that pocket just collapsed on him and he had to force the ball into Christian McCaffrey. Emmanuel Forbes picked it off. It's a play where Brock Purdy's legs might be able to give the 49ers a very, very necessary boost. We've seen that over the years. That's why his QBR, his EPA, all those stats have ranked better than even what Mac Jones has put on tape this year. But the overarching point is that you need 2 of these guys The 49ers have two of these guys. Mack went 5-3 over his time starting, and now, I mean, there's still a chance that he has to go against Arizona. But again, this week we've seen a turn. Brock Purdy working with that first line during practice for the first time since the aggravation of the injury against Jacksonville. The last thing that the 49ers can afford is for Purdy to get hurt again. If they're going to be an elite offense, if this is going to move over on the tier chart horizontally to set this up for the defense to stabilize things, they don't have to be great. The defense just has to be bad and not horrendous. But the offense has to be the leader of that train. If that's going to happen, Purdy's going to have to be available consistently. There cannot be a quarterback yo-yo for San Francisco, which is why they have long gamed this. This is why they will continue to long game it if it is necessary. But as I said, for several weeks, this window of games on natural grass, the Rams last week, this is the Cardinals on natural grass in Arizona, was the window that the 49ers were shooting for to return Brock Purdy into the lineup. Here's what Christian McCaffrey thinks about Brock's return, potential return, let's put it that way, into the 49ers starting lineup.
A lot. Just played with a lot. From an insight perspective, he's an insane competitor and obviously wants to be out there so bad. And I think it can be a very difficult time when you have to watch. Obviously, know from experience, but the biggest thing when you are is if you are coming back, which I think he knows he is. It's just about every day getting better because when you are back, it's time to go. And he's done such a good job. He hasn't changed at all. He's been a great leader, great teammate as he always is.
A couple more.
Now, I thought that Brian Robinson Jr. had a fantastically mature Q&A session at his locker. He's getting a bigger and bigger load. He's getting more and more comfortable out there on the field. Christian McCaffrey is obviously sensational on his way to a 1,000 season. Would become the first player ever to do that twice. He hit it with Carolina in 2019. But Brian Robinson, he had to sit early in his time at Alabama as well. And he's not complaining that he's not the featured guy for the 49ers. He's just put his head down and worked and learned the verbiage, the terminology of this Kyle Shanahan offense. And over the course of the past 3 weeks, things have really started to pay off for Brian Robinson. First against the Houston Texans where he had that kick return. And then when he was an integral part of that powerful muscle flexing march for the 49ers against the New York Giants, where they ran 8 times in a row. It was punctuated by a Robinson touchdown. And then last week, when he took out Nate Landman in the backfield, I mean, that was a clutch run. Turned a loss into a touchdown for San Francisco in the second half. They have the potential to have quite the 1-2 punch around Brock Purdy, or if it's Mac Jones, but around Brock Purdy in all likelihood in this game at running back. They've got Ricky Pearsall on his way back. Obviously, Jawan Jennings should be just about healed from the broken ribs at this point. DeMarcus Robinson playing his way into things. Kendrick Bourne is there as well. George Kittle, Luke Farrell, Jake Tonjes. I mean, there's a lot of weapons on this 49ers offense. We need to continue talking about the fact that they've got a shot to really entertain us moving forward if they can score a lot of points this year, even with the defense as beaten up as it is. That's why this Purdy and Ricky Pearsall development is so important. Anyway, we had a chance to catch up with Brian Robinson in the locker room. Here's the full interview with Brian on the day that Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall both back out at practice, the two Arizona natives ahead of the trip to the desert for the 49ers to play the Cardinals.
It was just I just had to kind of start at an odd time, and it was just took a little time to just learn it and get comfortable with it. But I don't think it's difficult, when you put the time and effort into learning it, it's not difficult at all. It's obviously something that definitely takes some time to study and so you can get comfortable. But I don't think it's difficult.
You're a starter, for multiple years in this league, and having to come into this situation and embrace this new role, has it been humbling in a way, or how do you view that change?
I feel like I came into all of this, humble. I came from a program in college where you have to wait your turn. You don't come in and start. Even if you have the talent or ability to do it, it's just rare that you come in and be a day one starter. And it's taught me just to be patient and stay down and continue to work. And when my time comes, I got to be ready for it. And I don't think being in this situation is humbling to me. I'm pretty humble for the most part. It's just just another one of those situations where, regardless of the role I'm playing, I got to still prepare like, I'm the guy, and that's just how I work. That's just how I show up to work, like I'm the guy, and that's what has me ready for any opportunity that presents itself. And the time it's my time to shine, I gotta be ready for it.
With Christian's ability to be flexed and go in motion and do the things he does, and Kyle's ability to scheme, are you surprised there isn't more plays or times when you're on the field at the same time with him?
Not necessarily. I mean, Kyle does a great job of scheming up all the things that he scheme up. I know people will probably want to have us on the field at the same time, but it's not really supposed to be that way. Me and Christian can do a lot of the same things, and my job is I want to start being able to do more things that he's able to do as far as catching the ball out of the backfield and stuff like that. And maybe that will bring more opportunities to me, but I just can't control, how Kyle decides to, scheme and how you want to put us on the field. Maybe he'll come through with a package sooner or later and put us on the field, but until then, he's playing his game.
Run the play that's called.
Brian, how fun was that first drive of the third quarter for you?
It's excellent. I mean, that's just how I play. That's how I ball, I guess people start to lose sight of that due to the limited play, but it's how I roll, that's what I do.
That's the first time you felt like kind of you're able to get into a little bit of a rhythm, right?
I actually felt like they allowed me to get into a little bit of a rhythm last week in New York. That was probably one of the first times during the season where I felt like they just allowed me to stay in and finish the drive on my own. And it was pretty similar last week. They let me in for at least 4 plays at a time. It's probably the most I've stayed in all season. So definitely allowed me to get into a rhythm.
Do you find yourself running even more aggressive, turning down fewer hits when you did just a limited number of carries?
I don't really think about it that way. It can be, I can have 2 carries and get hit 20 times. You never really know. Especially with the way I like to play, I don't like to go down with first contact. So it can be a run where I can have to literally hit every person on the defense. So I'm not saying that just take hits off of me or limited hits or stuff like that, but obviously not playing as much, or not having those many snaps, it is a limit.
Kyle just said you've had your best game with the Niners 4 weeks in a row. Do you feel his confidence in you growing as you get more opportunities?
Definitely, and I feel like it will continue to grow. The more opportunities I get, I want to continue to show them, who I am and how I play consistently. And it's a perfect time for me to just catch my stride.